Sisterhood. Happy Tuesday morning. I thought I would try going live today. I'm having a little bit of camera problems, so I can't download videos. It's super obnoxious. So I thought, I'll branch out and try something new. I'm here with Gavin. He's next to me, got my drink. One of the things I thought I'd talk about today is every so often I get on Reddit, mostly when I'm bored, and I just cruise around on there. And I put in Childless Not By Choice into Reddit last night, and there were definitely some themes that came up. And it seemed like there were 3 questions that a lot of people on Reddit were asking about. One is, what now? So you're childless, not by choice. Essentially, now what? The second one was, if you're childless, not by choice, particularly over 40, then what does your life look like? And then the third theme that I saw quite a lot about was loneliness. Like, how do you manage loneliness around it? That was mostly if you're also single, which we know that's what Under Sisterhood is. So I thought I would talk a little bit about kind of how I manage loneliness. And I will caveat it and say it really depends on what's triggering the loneliness and, a lot of other things in my life. But generally, I will say I do spend more time alone, I think, than somebody who's partnered, for sure. Definitely, I spend more time alone than somebody who has kids. Obviously, I'm always with Gavin, almost in a way where I'm worried about codependency in that situation, but that's another video. And so I thought I would talk a little bit about it. I think one of the reasons I spend a lot of time alone as well is that I do work from home. I am on PTO today. So anybody who's wondering why I'm doing this while I'm working, I'm not. I'm on PTO. And I try and kind of have a routine to my life and a routine to my day. That helps me. And some of the things that I feel less lonely when I'm doing these things. One is when I'm working out, and I don't like to work out from home, probably because it is an opportunity for me to get out there, but I like to go to studios. So for example, last night I went to a solid core class for the very first time. That shit ain't no joke, I'll tell you that. I was definitely the oldest person in there by a good 15 years, I'm sure of it. And that is a whole other experience. But, I was probably, because I went to an 8 p.m. class, and there's not a lot of moms going to an 8 p.m. class. But having a routine where I'm around other people, even if I'm not actually having long conversations with people, that helps me feel less lonely. I also try and set up either going out to dinner or doing something with somebody a couple of times a month. It's not often. I think I'm in a season where a lot of my friends have really busy lives, and it's definitely hard for them to be more spontaneous, but I like to do those things. For me, I have a pet, so I go to the dog park. That helps stave off kind of keep loneliness off too. Again, these aren't intimate or deep connections that I'm having with people, for sure. They're just helping me interact in the world where I am not going a whole day where I'm saying nothing out loud to anybody but Gavin, which is my dog, for those of you who are new. So definitely a routine. The other thing that helps me feel a little less lonely is when I'm feeling a bit more confident. And the things that help me feel more confident is working out, eating right, fueling my body well, getting good sleep, feeling like I'm keeping up on some of the things around my house. So when I have dishes all over the sink, or clothes are everywhere. I haven't done laundry in ages, which I do. Like, I have times when I'm going through this stuff because there's nobody around nobody around to check me on it. Occasionally my mom will text me and ask me about it, which annoys the shit out of me, but there's nobody that's like seeing it. So sometimes I have less motivation around it. But those are things that help me feel more confident, which in turn helps me feel less lonely. I will say I'm somebody that can tolerate being alone. I do think there's a difference between being alone and feeling lonely. One of the other things that I do is YouTube is something that helps me feel less lonely. Like the parasocial relationships that I kind of have with people. Again, these aren't people that I'm going out and doing things with or that I know really, but feeling like there's a community out there. Even if I watch somebody's live and I'm doing some chat room stuff, like Roberto Blake is somebody who I've been watching a lot of his lives because he talks about growing a YouTube channel. So that's something I do. Or watching vlogs. I have to be careful because most of the people doing vlogs are like in their 20s and living a life that I don't know where these people got this life. But so sometimes I'm like, what am I doing? So those are some things. So to recap, essentially, things that help me feel less lonely. Working out outside of my house. Feeling more confidence, so doing the things that give me confidence. For me, that's eating right, keeping up with my house. I would say showering. Like if I am doing my hair, for example, that's usually a sign that I'm feeling a little bit more confident. Identifying different communities, even if it's online communities. I'm somebody that's a proponent of that. I think it's a slice of the social pie nowadays. Do I think it should be 100% of the social pie? I think there are times if you're going through really deep grief and it's hard to leave the house, I would challenge you to do that. However, this is something that can be helpful, but I do think these online relationships in terms of community can be a slice of your pie. So, and then trying to plan different things with the people that are in my life. And it may not be often. Texting is something that can help me feel less lonely, even if it's just a how are you doing text, kind of checking in. Many of us live in different states or further away from people that we are also friends with. And so just checking in on people. Sometimes journaling or writing can also be something that can help with loneliness. Again, even though you're doing it alone, you're still processing your life and still having an exchange, essentially. It's with yourself, but these are things that may help you feel less lonely. I also want to talk a little bit about the fact that it's also okay to feel some loneliness sometimes. It is a feeling that is to be expected in a lot of ways, particularly if you're single and childless, not by choice. Loneliness doesn't have to be like descent downward. Acknowledge that you're feeling lonely. Think about the different levers that you can pull. And then be like, okay, I'm maybe feeling a little bit lonely today. Here are the things that sometimes help me with that. When we get stuck in it, that can definitely be harder. That's where a therapist can be really helpful in that realm. There's ways to go about finding a therapist. I have a few videos on that, so I won't necessarily get into it here, but I'm happy if you message me, I'm happy to put those in the comments. But loneliness is a part of everyone's life. I will tell you, I also try and remind myself that if I had a partner, odds are I'd be feeling lonely sometimes. If I had kids, odds are I would be feeling very lonely sometimes. Loneliness and being alone are not the same thing. So those are some things that help me. I always kind of go back to this too. The therapist in me always sort of says this is whenever you're experiencing a difficult feeling, getting adequate sleep can be very helpful, as well as abstaining from any sort of like mood altering substances. Those things can also be helpful. So if I'm really starting to descend into loneliness, those are the two levers that I'm pulling first. And I talk about it in terms of levers because there's not one thing. You know, we're sort of managing all these different like things and looking to optimize them and finding the right combination of those things takes a lot of practice and a lot of trial and error. So if you're feeling lonely, you're not alone. And sorry, if you're feeling lonely, you're not alone. It's a normal feeling to feel. And remember, there are things you can do to take the edge off around it. Again, I always want to put a plug in for therapy if it's something that you are considering or you're not sure or that you feel like there's a lot of stigma around it. Consider this your sign. Also, let me know if there's anything more specific around loneliness you'd like me to talk about. I do have some videos on the channel about loneliness because this is one of those adjunct feelings that come along with grief in particular. So that is my little live here on loneliness. Let me know what else you would like me to talk about this subject. And let me give you a little peek of my boy here. Hey, Gabby. I might take him to daycare today. And then this is the other thing that I do actually, is sometimes I go to a coffee shop or I will go to like an outdoor area and do work there. So I might do that. The area that I'm at in Florida right now has a really pretty outdoor space and it's going to be like in the 70s today. So that might be what we do. All right. Thanks for joining. Subscribe to Sonder Sisterhood. I'm gonna down my coffee here and I hope everybody has a great rest of their day.